MMA Boxing Talk here. I just wanted to make a quick video talking about Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier tonight. It's the rematch. It's one of the greatest matchups in UFC history. It's one of the best rivalries in UFC history, MMA history for that matter. And I just basically wanted to talk about, I think Ariel Helwani is really the first one who brought it up, and how both guys arguably should be pound for pound number 1 and 2 right now. Jones, of course, he got stripped of his title. He got suspended for over a year. He was off the rankings, but everyone knows Jon Jones is pound for pound number 1 in the world right now. And Daniel Cormier could make a tremendous case for being number 2. Really, him and Mighty Mouse, of course, Mighty Mouse is much more well-rounded, more flawless with everything, transitions. He's just he makes it look easy, Mighty Mouse. But Daniel Cormier's resume is so much better. He's fought better opposition, in my opinion, and But what I'm getting at is both these guys as well. I think they're really number 1 and 2 in the light heavyweight history. And not just UFC. Any organization, Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier are the 2 best light heavyweights in MMA, period. I truly believe that, and I think Daniel Cormier, if he was in any other era, Chuck Liddell's era, Randy Couture's era, which is pretty well the same time, but DC beats everyone in the history at 205. I truly believe that, and except Jon Jones, so this is, it's crazy to, but Cormier has his chance tonight, he really does have a chance. I don't think he can get the job done. Jon Jones is, I truly believe he's the greatest of all time. His resume is definitely the best in MMA history. I guess Fedor, you could make a case for Fedor's resume. He had 10 years of dominance, beating all the best heavyweights. But in the UFC, there's no doubt Jon Jones has the best resume in UFC history. And he's had time off to reflect and try to get his life back on track. The partying is something he'll probably do for the rest of his life, but in moderation, which is something he said actually in one of the embeddeds, in moderation. But I don't know. It's interesting because Jones was on top of the world, beating everyone, 6 former champions, and doing this all, not really taking it 100% serious, not acting and not acting like a true professional athlete, not taking care of yourself, getting blackout drunk a week before every fight, so you had already a built-in excuse if you lost. And of course, he never lost, but here's the thing, someone brought up the New Sweet Science. Shout out to their channel, great channel, and they have like 20,000 followers on Instagram. Definitely follow them on Instagram too. The New Sweet Science. They posted a thing yesterday talking about, Tiger Woods was the greatest of all time. At that, he doesn't have all the records, but a lot of people see him as the greatest of all time. And he literally, once he got busted for being with all these women, it was like he needed that to be on top. He needed to be banging all these chicks to be on top, and I don't know, to distract yourself, because golf and MMA are both very huge mental games. It's so much of your success boils down to your mental strength and your ability not to get shook. And maybe Tiger Woods was sleeping with all these women because that was the best way to get his mind off things. And maybe Jon Jones was partying all this like crazy, out in Brazil a month before you're fighting Daniel Cormier, doing cocaine and shit like that. Maybe Jon Jones needed that to be on top. And like we've seen with Tiger Woods, when he comes back, he hasn't won a major since. And he's still one of the best, maybe not anymore, but he was still number one for a while, a couple years back, and still never won a major. So this is John Jones' real test. He fought OSP, didn't look the best. Mind you, that was on short notice, and Jones does not like fighting on short notice. He likes to really study his opponent obsessively till 3 a.m. in the morning. But now his real test is tonight, because Daniel Cormier is the second best light heavyweight of all time. He's going to test Jones, and we're going to find out if Jones can still win at the highest level without getting blackout drunk a week before the fight, without partying and smoking weed. And I think he can do it. I think, he talks about, this is what I was meant to do, and I'm sure Tiger Woods was saying the same, mind you, but I have a feeling that John Jones won't be a similar case to Tiger Woods. He's going to defeat Daniel Cormier tonight. In my prediction video, I said that it would be a decision by Jones, but more decisive than the first fight. And, that could happen. That's my official prediction, But I think if it's going to be more decisive win for John Jones, I think he'll get the finish. Where if he doesn't get the finish, maybe it'll be because Daniel Cormier made it a closer fight. But I still think Jones can win a more decisive fight without finishing Daniel Cormier. Cormier's a very tough guy to finish. He's never been finished before, and he fought at heavyweight. And I mean, another thing about Cormier, this guy won the heavyweight Strikeforce Grand Prix. I mean, if you look at the guys look at that bracket of all the guys in that tournament, you had Fedor, you had Bigfoot Silva, you had Overeem, you had Verdum. Actually, Cormier replaced Overeem. There was also Brett Rogers. There was Josh Barnett at the time was on an 8-fight win streak when he met Cormier in the finals. I mean, this tournament was absolutely stacked. Cormier won it. Comes to the UFC, I think he beats Frank Mir and someone else. Then moves up to light heavyweight, beats Cummings, ragdolls Dan Henderson, and then he fights John Jones. I don't know what I was getting at before I mentioned this, but all to say, though, Cormier is legit. He's a legend of the sport, and I keep saying it, but he is the second best light heavyweight in MMA history. And he's still, in my opinion, it's not gonna be enough to get the job done in the rematch. That's just my opinion. And if I am right about this, and Jones happens to get the finish or a more decisive win, I mean, man, how can you argue he's not the GOAT? After that, how can you argue he's not the GOAT after having to deal with all the crap he's been through? It's mind blowing. He definitely has a star aura around him, and he's such a smart, skilled fighter with great attributes, that long reach, the athleticism, but he is a fuck up. He really is a fuck up, and everyone deserves a second chance. He's gotten a lot more than 2 chances, but I guess when you're arguably the GOAT, in my opinion, he is the GOAT. You get off with certain things, you don't get the harshest penalties. They're lighter on you, and he better make. He's wasted his talent, a lot in the prime years of his career. So I'm hoping that he can make a full recovery, come back, get that belt, defend it, maybe fight Alexander Gustafsson after this, and then maybe Brock Lesnar. He's only 30 years old. He could still have another. This might only be halfway through his career. He started MMA at 20 years old. He was the UFC champion at 23 years old. He's 30 years old now. And the good news is he's been off for, in the last 2.5 years since he fought Daniel Cormier, he's only fought 1 time. So he hasn't had much wear and tear on him. His chin isn't getting pounded on. So he's preserved his body, and he's such a smart fighter that he could literally go on a tear for another, till he's 35, 36 years old. We don't know. Only time will tell. tonight is a huge test, and it'll really show where Jon Jones is at. Now you got to remember, like I said, Jon Jones, he's obsessed with studying his opponents, staying up late till 3 a.m. watching their film. He got that opportunity with Cormier, and he's had multiple camps. He knows Cormier like the back of his hand. So, there's no excuses for Jon Jones. He has to go in there and win. He said it himself. He doesn't believe in ring rust. Dominic Cruz doesn't believe in ring rust. He came back, and Cruz was out longer with actual injuries. Jon Jones, it was outside of the octagon where he fucked up, where Cruz just wasn't really taking care of his body the right way, overtraining with all that footwork, and anyway, all I'm getting at is I'm pumped. I wanted to kill some time, and obviously I'm really passionate about this. Jon Jones is my favorite fighter of all time. I was a Jon Jones fan, for a long time. Before I really got into the sport, I was already a Jon Jones fan. So just wanted to give my take, and enjoy the fight. That's it for this one. If you like the video, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MMA Boxing Talk 1. Peace.